Okay, so Maya crashed on me, which brings up some other safety precautions, and that is save very often. And in fact, you can tell Maya to do that for you. If you go to File, Save Scene, Option Box, you can tell it to do incremental saves. And what's nice about that is I guess that's not autosave, but if you do incremental saves, then it never actually saves over your previous file. So when you press Control S, it's still always doing a save as. And that will be located inside your scenes folder of your project for that particular, and they'll have the name of the scene that you were currently working on. That'll make more sense once you use it. It doesn't deserve more of an explanation of that than that, though. Okay, so because it crashed, I need to set my project again. Okay, and I'm just going to start out with a cube, and I'm going to show you guys a few things. So, in my hotbox, go to the Polygon Primitives cube. Okay, and I'm going to select that cube. Just going to go ahead and rename it Box. Delete history on it. Okay, now I can split this up by using the Insert Edge Loop tool. But when I'm in object mode, if I shift right click, I can go to this Insert Edge Loop tool. Then I can click and drag on the edge of this and insert an edge loop. Do the same thing again here and there. So that's a really useful tool. Okay, now sometimes you want to change your selection. It's more useful to use vertices than it is edges, or sometimes it's faster to select faces. So select a face, but what you really need is 3 of its vertices. So if you were to select the face, and then, this is a fictitious scenario, but if you select a face and then Control right click, you can tell it to change that to a vertex selection. That can be really handy, because sometimes just getting the correct selection is a pretty difficult task in and of itself. So just remember that if you hold down Control and right click on your object, it will allow you to change the selection in a bunch of different ways. Okay. Now, sometimes we want to make a selection, but we want it to affect more than just our selection. So they call it a soft selection, and it will have some obvious advantages. So I'll create a sphere for this part. And I'm going to go to, let's say, vertex mode, and I have a single vertex selected. Well, I can double click on any of my manipulators, and if I scroll down, there's a soft select section. If I turn on soft selection, there's a fall off mode, and I can have it work per surface or by volume. The volume is easier for Maya to handle and less likely to make your computer crash. But I like to use the surface, and they have this fall off radius, and this will become more obvious what it does as I scale this down. Okay, so what it does is per this gradient, it's actually going to move more stuff than just the vertex I have selected. So I can edit that more smoothly. Okay, be careful using this tool. Is very powerful in the right hands. It's also a model destroyer in the wrong hands, or if used unwisely. You'll move around a whole lot more than what you expect you will, and then you'll end up making your model look really mushy or soft, like it's made out of Play-Doh or something. Maybe if you're intending to do that, that's okay, but most of the time not the case. Okay, so that's the soft select tool. Sometimes you want to just change the overall shape of it, and we can do that again with this sphere. If we go to our animation menu set up here, or if you hold down the hotbox, you have the animation menu set available here, which you can't see right now, but there's a Create Deformers menu. If you click on that, then there's a lattice. And it draws this really simplified box around the object or selection that you've made. It also works on just a subset of components if you want it to. Now, before you manipulate this lattice, you can change how many divisions it has. I could say 10 in every direction, and then I've got a whole lot of divisions. I'm going to keep it relatively simple and just put it to 3 for our purposes. So now there's 3 divisions in every direction. Now this lattice is really handy in reshaping objects very smoothly. So if you right click on your lattice, you can go to the lattice point, and then you can select a lattice point, and then you can mush around the mesh, kind of like the soft selection tool. So what's nice about it is you can just select those, say all those lattices on the bottom there, or all the lattice points on the bottom there, and I can move just those up. Now I still have soft select on, and that's why it's moving those center set of lattice points. So I can turn that off by scrolling down in my move tool. Turn that off. And now I can make this object perfectly flat on the bottom. Oh, now it's a rock sitting on the ground, or no, who knows. So the lattice can be very useful. Now, sometimes when we're working, let me switch back to the cube now. F8. Delete these. Sometimes when we're working, actually let me just create a new cube. Create menu, polygon primitives, cube. If you want to work full screen, you can press Control Spacebar. That will help you work full screen. I'm going to add a couple divisions in here. Okay. Delete history on it. Okay. So now we can mirror this object, or we can mirror what we do to it. So in my manipulators, if I double click on one of my manipulators, there's this symmetry option, and I can do it based off of the world, the object, or the topology. I'm going to do it by world. If I go to vertex mode and I select this vertice in the corner here, then it also selects the one opposite of it. I'm going to change this from normal average to object mode on the move axes. And now if I move one side out, it moves the other side out. It mirrors what you do to it. Okay? And the same thing happens if you have, like, I believe it works even with soft select. So it will mirror your behavior across whatever axes you choose. So I told it to mirror across the x-axis. Okay. Now sometimes when you're working on a mesh,